very special day because all across Canada, somewhere, no matter where you go, where you drive, which home you go to, there is a feast that's going on. It's our Thanksgiving. And I want to say a very special happy Thanksgiving to all of our listeners right across Canada. We do our Thanksgiving first because we're further north, right? And things happen a little earlier here in Canada than it does on the southern side of the border.
Yeah. And we're going to be talking a little bit more about that.
A little bit later, we're going to be talking about that, right?
Yeah.
Today's show is sponsored by Liquid Green Products, producers of Eco Superior green cleaning products for your home, your office, your car, and of course your pets. And if you're not using these Eco Superior green products, then what in the world are you using to clean your home? Visit us at liquidgreenproducts.com. Click on any products you'd like to try, and don't forget to enter that promo code. I think it's going to be running for another week or so, and you get a huge discount. This broadcast is live, folks. This is a live radio broadcast, but all of our previous broadcasts can be found on platforms such as Spotify, Facebook, and YouTube. Whichever one you go to, just type in Liquid Green Health Show, and you will see all of our past shows. If you're on YouTube, like, share, comment, subscribe. We want to hear from you, and talking about hearing from you during this broadcast, feel free to write us at liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com. Let us know where you are listening from, because we want to hear from you, right? We've been getting a lot of emails, and so please send in that email to the liquidgreenhealthshow@gmail.com, right? Today's broadcast, like all of our broadcasts, is for education and entertainment purposes only. If you can just mute your mic, please. Today's broadcast, like all our broadcasts, is for education and entertainment purposes only. It's designed to stimulate the mind and help to bring us one step closer to living a healthier lifestyle. Today, we're going a little bit around the turn in our programming.
We said we were going to throw health through the window, but I don't think we're really throwing health through the window.
We're not really throwing it completely out of the window, but the topics we're going to be discussing has something to do directly or indirectly with person's health, right? Depending on how they approach, depending on how they accept the message that's being sent. So we've decided to go a little bit around the turn with today's broadcast to speak to a very special guest today.
Oh, you know what? Just before we bring on our very special guest, I watched the Blue Jay games yesterday.
Oh, no, no.
I don't know who else did.
Stress.
Or Jays, oh my God.
Yeah.
8-1 in the fifth, right?
And they blew it.
And the score is 10-9.
And you know what?
Anyway.
I put 90% of the blame on the manager. Right?
Okay.
Because had he not changed that picture, right?
The pitcher, yeah.
Had he not changed the pitcher, I think the pitcher just had one more out, right?
Yeah.
To get out of the inning.
All I know is I stopped watching the game.
No, you can't. You can't.
And my son was so happy because Kofi, he's a Leafs fan. Yeah. And whenever this happens, he says, I want the other fans to feel the pain. I want them to feel the burn.
It was a painful experience. And,
anyway.
Your stress level was out the roof. And,
I know.
We can't watch these games.
It's amazing how we allow things out of our control to upset us.
Yes.
And today's guest is somebody who is in politics. And the reason we think it was pertinent to talk about politics, we don't realize, or I'm sure we do realize, how important it is that we are so affected by the decisions made from people.
Politicians make.
Right.
Yes.
So they're supposed to be under our control because we vote them in, etc.
Yes.
But some of the things, like, we don't feel empowered.
Yes.
And so our guest today is, he's actually running for mayor in a small town in Ontario, Ajax. But we don't want our listeners in the US and in Canada that has no business. They don't care anything about Ajax. We don't want you to leave our show. So we're not talking to Arthur about his platform personally. What he's going to do as a politician, as a municipal politician, he's going to guide us and help us. So it doesn't matter where in the world you are. You're going to find some information that Arthur will share that's going to be good for anybody. Right now, Frederick, there's a lot of voting. There's the
Right
US are
across North
having
America, there's a lot
a
of
lot of
voting that's
voting going on.
Yeah.
And some people are apathetic
Yeah.
and they feel, why bother?
Mhm.
Why do I need to vote?
Right.
You know, what are they going to do for me? So without further ado, Arthur Augustine, we'd like to welcome you to the Liquid Green Health Show. We know it's Thanksgiving. We know you have delayed your Thanksgiving feast with your family just to be here. So we want to thank you. So Arthur, share with us a little bit about yourself.
You need to unmute your mic.
Unmute your mic. Your mic. Ah.
Are we live now? Can you hear me?
Now
Yes,
we
we can
can,
hear you.
yes.
Okay, first I would like to thank you, Fred and Janet, for having me on this beautiful Liquid Green Health Show. It's an honor for me to be here to speak with you and to answer any questions you have. And a big shout out to Reality Radio 101. Thank you
Okay.
all for having me.
Thank you.
Arthur, apart from politics, what else do you do? Yeah, I know you're a community, you're a businessman, you're an entrepreneur. What else do you do?
Well, I've always been a community person. I am currently, my current job is that I possess a master's degree in forensic psychology from York University. I am presently working on negotiation and mediation with the Ontario Court of Justice, whereby I do most of their mediation for them and to settle disputes that are difficult to settle. So I come in between the judges and the lawyers when they cannot come to a decision, and I'm that person who helps balance the scale for a win-win situation or in whichever direction the case is leading to. So I have a vital role and I have a great interest in people and in humanity.
Okay.
So this is why I pursue this type of work. I'm also a businessman. I have a beauty salon in the community where I live that's been existing for well over 35 years. And it's actually the longest running salon in the region.
Wonderful. Arthur, something else I need to say. I think one of the highlights in your life is my friend Sandra, who is your partner, your wife. And she is my very dear friend. We talk almost every day. And now I'm thinking, you're talking about mediation. I don't know if I wouldn't want to be married. Frederick, how would that sound? If you're married to somebody who's doing the mediation, does that mean you win all the arguments?
No, it means that you always have to be cognizant of the compromise you have to make.
Arthur.
Well, with Sandra and I, to be quite honest with you, there's an old saying that doctors cannot cure their own cold. So I have always taken a position of give up your rights to make peace.
That's
so
what I'm saying.
We very rarely ever have any type of long-term dispute. Although disagreements is healthy, we never really take it outside more than a few minutes of discussion.
Great. Yeah. Well, I just tell Frederick what to do, and he's very obedient. So,
good.
Like I said, you have to be
there's an old saying, woman is boss. So.
Wow, you're gonna do well in politics. Anyway, so what we've told our listeners is that unfortunately we won't be able to highlight Ajax, but municipal elections are so important, no matter where you live. Right? What is it that in a municipal election, what areas do they cover? I know the parks and stuff. Can you highlight that? Because I know in every city around the world, it's going to be a little bit different, but technically most of the things will be the same.
Yeah, basically the platform, the framework is a generic framework for just about every city.
So could you tell us what's involved with municipal politics?
First to begin with, we have to look at really and truly what is municipal politics. We have here in Canada, we have 3 levels of government. We have the federal government, we have the provincial government, and the municipal government, often referred to as the local government.
Right.
what are the responsibilities and duties of the local government? Oftentimes, people tend to shy away from the local government. What they don't realize is the local government or the municipal government is the most important aspect of their lives. For example, the municipal government look after your daily whereabouts. For example, they're responsible for the parks. The parks are in your community. They're responsible for the parks. They're responsible for community water. They're also responsible for local police, local fire department. They're responsible for roadways and parks and recreation services. The municipal government is so vital to one's life. It's also responsible for snow removal, and also for planning for the community. They're also very much responsible for the economic development of the community. And they also, which is very vital, they are the ones who look after the local elections or the electorate. They are the ones also who levy taxes on your property. So I was away from the taxes, but the local government is an intricate part of your daily life. We must listen and adhere to local governments. It's important to vote in local elections because it affects your daily life, in some cases, even more than the federal government. So much attention should be given to the local government and when they have an elections. For some reason, people try to shy away from that.
And it's important that you say that, because most times when we hear about elections, the big focus is done on the federal or even the provincial here in Canada.
Or in the
and
states,
I would imagine it
federal
would be the same in any country, where in other countries you may have, and I think they still call it local general elections, but the importance of that particular election a lot of times is taken for granted.
Yeah, as Arthur just said, right.
I want to, that is so because federal elections are usually broadcast countrywide.
Yes.
Municipal election or local election is only advertised in the municipality or the local area to which one lives. So it is generally only for the immediate community. And if you're not a community-minded person, you will tend to shy away from local politics. Again, it is more important than others, in my opinion.
You know, I'm a movie buff, and I remember movies like Jaws. Do you remember all the bad decisions that were made because of a local politician who was more into greed and trying to make, you know, the things look good in
these beaches will stay open. These beaches will stay open.
Yeah.
Right.
But not just Jaws. Look at the movie that we watched just the other night.
That
is a movie that's based on an incident that took
in
place
Poland.
in Poland.
Yes.
Right. And how the politicians were so
they were warned, they were told what to do, they ignored it, and the whole city got flooded. You know, so it is.
You see, oftentimes, let's just use the movie High Water as an example. Oftentimes, the arrogance of the people in charge could make or break your community. It is where, or in High Waters, the lady, whatever her name is, I can't remember her name.
The doctor,
The doctor, she was actually telling the politicians, this is going to happen, but because of arrogance,
ego.
And ego. And oftentimes some politicians believe that they're above and they do not listen to the authorities, like the medical people. So you find things like what happened in High Water happening because, again, we have to be very, very careful who we put as our local representatives to, you know.
So it's usually, what's the structure look like? I know you have councilors, trustees, mayor, etc. What's the hierarchy in the municipality?
Well, in the municipality here in Ontario, is usually the trustees is considered the most minimal of that type of election. Then we have the local councilors that deals with the local issue. For example, if you are from, let's say, from Ajax, the local councillors handle the Ajax affairs. Then we have regional councillors that handle the whole region. There are 8 municipalities in our vicinity, so the regional councillors handle matters pertaining to the region. and they
Okay.
all are chaired by the mayor, who is usually the head of council. What
Okay.
does the mayor do? The mayor advises the council on certain issues and creates a vote. If there's an issue, they all have a discussion, then they vote, and the mayor only has one vote. But he basically chairs the meeting, and he also represents the municipality on all government affairs.
Okay. Now, you mentioned water as being one of the issues that a local municipal government would do. I think of the poor folks in the US. I don't know if any of our listeners is from Flint, Michigan, or where is it they have, or Mississippi, where they had that horrible water situation for weeks and months. How could things like that happen if you have a municipal government that cares? Is it because are the municipal governments, although they make decisions, are they still subject to the provincial or the state level if you're in the US? And is that why something like that could go on for so long?
Sometimes it's the neglect of the municipal government. Oftentimes they may not have the funding that is required to fix a problem. But if you have a strong mayor, or if you have a strong council, they can negotiate with the higher authorities to get the problem to be repaired. Sometimes it overlaps, whereby a municipal issue is really the responsibility of the higher government. But if you have a strong mayor and a strong council working for the people, they would be able to levy the higher level of government to make sure what is need to be taken care of are taken care of. So it all falls back actually into the hands of the municipal government. For example, I know this is not a show in my area. We have an issue here with the algae. The algae it creates a bad odor for the residents. But that problem is a problem that has to be dealt with by the provincial government. But the strength of the local government must tackle the higher government to make sure that the needs are met.
Now, schools, what about schools? Is that a municipal?
Most definitely. Some of the taxes that you pay, or a certain percentage of your taxes, are used by the municipal government for schools. And what type of schools? Elementary schools, as it's called in Canada, and secondary schools. They are funded by the municipal government or by the local government in that community. So part of your taxes that you pay does go towards the upkeep of school. Now, this is done by the Minister of Finance, but every municipality has to contribute to its school, elementary and secondary school, not post-secondary education in this case, but by the elementary and schools.
So I know this is probably universal with small, changes in different countries. For example, I know France doesn't distinguish between, say, a town and a city. In Toronto and in the US, there's a lot of distinctions. Now, what's the difference between, say, a town and a city in terms of municipality and government?
Population size. That's basically the basic principle to be referred to as a town or as a city. In November of 2000, Pickering, another town, it was once called a town, because they were considered, rural areas. They were what's called a town. In 2000, Pickering had reached the requirement to be called a city because of growth. It was basically the first growing city or town in the Durham region. So in 2000, they've changed their status from a town to a city. And what are the benefits of being a city? In my opinion, you attract more businesses. Most businessmen or multi-million corporations will more likely invest in a city as opposed to a town.
Well, what about a mega city? How would you like to be the boss of a mega city, like 10 million citizens, like some places in Japan, etc., right?
But I think based on what Arthur just said, why most businesses and businessmen would be attracted to cities, I think one of the reasons would be the difference in the tax breaks that they would get.
Yep.
City is much more likely to offer larger
better tax breaks. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
quite true. Yep. And they get more investment for the return because again, you have to have a certain population amount to be classified as a city.
I think in Canada it's 2,000. Is it 2,000 people to be a city or
no?
Town?
Yeah, I have no. I think it's 100 and something. It has that amount. Janet has rose to a different amount. So I think once you cross over, I believe 75,000. You can be classified as you can be, if you so desire, you can be classified as a city. And this is one of the things that I'm fighting for in my area. We are still called a town, but we have the prerequisites to be that of a city.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to take a little bit of time because we ask for emails and they always come in. So we're going to go to some emails. And when I come back, Arthur, I'm going to be talking to you about one of the issues that affects every town, every city globally, I would safely say, and that's homelessness. We're going to come back to that. All right.
Okay. I'm going to read an email that we got here from Edward, and Edward also sent us a picture to tease our palates here.
Oh my God!
Hello, Fred and Janet. Happy Thanksgiving, and this is our feast: a big plate of ham, and I'm not sure
mashed potato. It's pasta salad
and some other stuff there. Edward, why are you doing this to us? All right, we have to go back to our Thanksgiving dinner right after this. Here's one from Tammy. We love your show. There are 7 of us listening to you in our living room while we are burping from our meal. Enjoy the meal. Holly just wrote us and said, I totally agree with Fred about the Blue Jays. The manager made a very bad decision. Happy Thanksgiving to you and your guests. Always a pleasure to listen to your show. And Dan sent us one. He says, I just read online some information about your guest today. What a man. He's a very caring person in his community. He has an excellent education. Thanks for having him on. Happy Thanksgiving. That one is for you.
And Dan,
Arthur.
Thank you for saying that because we were feeling guilty dragging him away from his Thanksgiving meal. So we're glad that folks are out there and that you're appreciating the information, which really covers not just a small area, but it covers it covers everybody.
Yes.
In terms of municipalities.
And here's one from Sadie. And hello, Fred and Janet. Municipal politics are the most important form of politics in folks' lives. This is the politics genre that affects people's lives the most. Most federal politics affect a nation as a whole with security, taxes, military, etc. But it is very important to vote for the proper folks in your local election. Right?
That is great, and we'll come back to those. See, I'm really happy for those emails because I think people get it. The importance, right?
And we thought that we had a little bit of ambivalence on the show because of Thanksgiving, and as I said earlier, we're veering away a little bit from the
typical like it's not directly health related, but definitely indirectly. But still, right?
The politics in itself has a direct or indirect effect on people's lives. And it is important, as the writer Sadie wrote in, it is important to vote in elections like this, regardless of where you live.
Do you know who your local elector is? You don't have to tell me on air because I know you don't. Put him in.
I live in Oshawa, folks.
Anyway, Arthur, coming back to homelessness, if people are to trust their municipal governments, one of the most important things in people's lives, it doesn't matter who you are,
or where you live,
is shelter. And for so many big cities, mega cities, always a problem. Big cities, problems. Small towns, also a problem. I think the only place that I was ever in that I didn't see a really critical problem with homelessness was Australia. I don't know if that's still true, but they seem to have been working on,
but there's some places we didn't go to, so we can't really say for sure.
Right, but that was just what you perceive. Now, what is your view, Arthur, with, let me see if I can get a question.
The homelessness.
Why do you think homelessness is such a global problem? What are some of the reasons you think we have this issue everywhere we go?
I have spoken on homelessness nationwide, and you would not believe the type of things people would say about homelessness. I've heard people say that homelessness is a choice. I've heard people say homelessness is now, I've heard people say homelessness is now an epidemic. It's just like any other epidemic. I've heard people say homelessness is a social issue. I've heard people say that homelessness is a culture. It's a municipal issue, I believe. Homelessness is really a municipal issue. Now, as I mentioned before, municipalities get help from the higher levels of government. So if homelessness is a municipal issue, how does the higher government comes into play? And I'll tell you how. In 1999, the Canadian government launched the homeless initiative. It's called the National Homeless Initiative of 1999 with $753 million over a 3-year period. That is because homelessness has become so Canada-wide. They decided to do what they have to do, but it falls back into the hands of the municipality. Now, in the municipality to which I live, homelessness has not doubled within the last 4 years, it has quadrupled. In other areas, homelessness is growing at a tremendous rate.
In Canada, Vancouver, big problem always.
There are those who said since after the pandemic, homelessness has gone up really a great deal. But the real question is, what can each municipality do to rid themselves of homelessness?
Right.
There are those who have affiliated homelessness with low wages, insecure housing, and I can explain insecure housing if you want, and mental health and addiction. It is all of the above, really and truly. But the real cause for homelessness is housing affordability.
Thank you. Yeah.
If people cannot afford their homes or cannot afford to pay rent, then they have no choice, but they will end up on the street. If they don't have a family member to go by, they will end up on the streets. Now, I know there are certain cities across the US whereby they're hard on landowners or landlords when they're kicking out their tenants. I remember I did a mediation case in New Jersey, in Irvington, New Jersey, whereby they took homelessness and vagrancy very serious. Now, please bear in mind, homelessness is not against the law in any country that I'm aware of. Because oftentimes people think that, the police should remove a homeless person or run them. It's not against the law. But affordable housing is a sure and good way of reducing homelessness. What is affordable housing? You cannot ask a landlord to pay to give his unit for cheap rent. What has been done in Toronto to rid themselves of homelessness is that the government, the local government, has made agreements with the hotel industry, whereby they subsidize some of the hotel rooms for homeless families. Also, which is not the case in my area, and I believe that is the real cause for the homelessness in my area, rooming houses. In some areas, people are allowed to have rooming houses whereby someone can have, say, let's say, a 5-bedroom house, and they can charge really low rent for each rooms. The tenants will share the kitchen, and in some cases they will share their bath. So for each lodging house or home lodging, it's called different names in different communities. If that is allowed to continue, then for each homeless residence, they will take away from the street. For example, if you have 5 lodging homes in an area that can accommodate 5 individuals, that's 25 people off the streets.
Mhm.
In some cases, mental health and addiction is
Big
often the
one.
case. Yeah,
Big
it's
one.
often the
Mhm.
case. So there are organizations. For example, I am a harm reduction specialist with York University,
A
and we do
what?
whatever harm
What?
reduction specialist.
Okay, harm
Harm
reduction.
reduction is helping people who from harming themselves, whether
Okay.
through homelessness or
Mhm.
drug addiction. And what we do, we go around and we feed the homeless people. We
Okay.
have an area here also in Ajax where we go around, we feed the homeless people. We make sure if they have medication to be taken, we make sure that they take the medication. We make sure that they go to the doctor visit. There's a faith family church also in Ajax that whereby they're taking people on extremely cold nights and give them a warm shower, give them a bath and a place to sleep. So
Yeah.
these are the groups in our areas that are helping the homeless community.
And I know for refugees who is the refugees, they're not lumped into the homeless category, are they? Because when you come as a refugee, they're already taken care of.
Yeah,
in
they
most countries
are held
by the
by
government.
they are held by the higher government,
Yeah.
and they're assisted. So I'm not saying that some of the homeless are not refugees, maybe
Okay.
who are on drugs and have other mental issues, but
Mhm.
the great percentage are actually people like you and I.
Mhm.
And in a lot of cases, it's just simple bad luck.
I know.
You
I
lose your
know.
job, you
Yeah.
lose your job, you go
Yeah.
through a divorce, you have a mental
Mhm.
issue. But whenever we think of homelessness, the first thing comes to most people's mind
Is
is
a
drug
ref-
addiction and
Right.
mental health. And that
Yeah.
is not the case.
It
They
is
are
not.
the fuels of the lot.
Mhm.
Drug addiction and mental health, they are the
Mm.
fuels of the lot of the homeless people. Just
Mhm.
simple bad luck.
Yeah. Okay,
So
we want to move into another topic. The reason we seem to like rush things a little bit is because I don't know, on the Liquid Green Health Show, the fastest, the hours, the minutes go so fast between 5:30 and 6:30.
Yeah.
I think it moves double time.
And there's so much that
So
we
much
would
to
like
cover.
to cover.
So
but
another area, and I thank you. Your answers are wonderful, and I'm sure they're appealing to, again, not just locally. It's a wide appeal.
Generic
Yes.
answers to questions that are being faced by residents
Yeah.
all over the world.
And so one of the other big areas, I don't know if this is something that's handled by a municipal government or the bigger governments, but the whole issue of if an area has green belt, right? If the area within where you live has to be protected. Now, does the protection come from higher up, or again, is this a municipal problem? And could you address that? Is that something you can talk to?
Yeah, yes, I can definitely talk to that because these are areas that I've running for mayor. I have to be very versed on. I am one of the advocates who have advocated for protection of the green belt. The question people who may ask who are not familiar with the term green belt, what is the green belt, really and truly?
Right, exactly.
Okay, yeah. A green belt, to be specific, a green belt is actually a permanently protected area of green space. It could be a farmland, it could be a forest, wetland, watershed. It's basically any amount of greenery, forestry, whatever of
Does
greenland.
That includes our parks as well, local parks?
Well, local parks are not considered part of the green belt or the green space, as it's called sometimes, but it's forestry that surrounds the area. Great forestry.
All natural habitat, basically.
Yes, all natural habitat. Here in Canada, our green belt is a portion of the Golden Horseshoe. I don't know if you're familiar with that term, but it's part of the Golden Horseshoe, and the whole idea is to protect it. Why do we need to protect the green belt? Because it is the forestry of the community. It is what protects the area from flooding. It protects it because farmers are the ones who usually use the green belt. And if we destroy the green belt, where will we cultivate our crops? Farmers are the one who cultivate the green belt. And so therefore, here in my community and pretty well most of Canada, the green belt is protected by the federal government. Developers are not allowed to build on green belt. They would not get permits to destroy the green belt. Now, with the expansion, because the population is expanding, they are trying now to eat out of the green belt. Well, we need more room, we need more room. And inch by inch by inch, developers are looking at the green belt to expand or to widen the city. So with population growth, it is a battle between the developers and the politicians who are in favor of protecting the green belt. The green belt must be protected at all costs for our future generation.
Yeah, but Arthur, sorry to interrupt.
No
isn't it a catch-22 though? Because we just finished talking about homelessness and we talk about lack of housing or affordable homes. Is there a dichotomy between this? Is it because we don't have space to build, or why do, like, I'm trying to make a correlation. Can you continue
downtown most popular cities, the issue is space. What do? They go up, they build higher. They build from 5 stories to 10 stories. Now I think they're like 100 stories high. So therefore, in order to protect the green belt or the green area, if you have population growth, you go higher as opposed to going wider. So by so doing, you're actually protecting the green belt. The green belt is vital for our next generation. If we destroy the green belt, we're actually destroying humanity, animal life, wildlife. They all inhabit the green belt.
But with that said, aren't there some municipalities that have restrictions as to how high you can go?
Yes, there are some municipalities that have those restrictions, but the key thing is there are a lot of available land still in the city or that you can utilize. There are a lot of abandoned homes. There are a lot of abandoned buildings. That is what can be used to protect the green belt and not have to eat out of the green belt.
Yeah, you know, Arthur, I don't think you've ever been to our home, but where we live, we're on our address is on a main road. It's on a busy main road. But when you go to the back, we face a green belt area. And I tell you, that's the reason I love where I live. Because you're on the city in the front, but in the back, you feel as if you're in the country, isn't it?
You can still hear the birds chirping. You can still see
you can hear
the green belt. The green belt is a vital issue because it has a lot to do with global warming. It protects our ecosystem. It is vital for our existence. It's also vital for the next generation. If we destroy the green belt, we actually destroy humanity. Also, destruction of the green belt area could create flooding in the south end. So you have to be careful because trees, as you know, aids in flooding and that type of stuff. So the green belt is very, very vital for pretty well any country in the world.
For example, I'll just throw this in very quickly. Where I am from in Falmouth, Jamaica, the big issue is Falmouth was a sleepy little town, and the big Royal Caribbean Airlines came, and now we are no longer a sleepy little town, but all the changes they've made has not really, the benefits have gone to the big corporation, and it has not really trickled down to the local people. And we're now worried for some of the things like the EPA and how strict were they when they moved coral for big ships to come in. So as you say, you know, the whole issue of green belts, global, depending on where you are, is it the sea? Is it a riverbed? Is it whatever?
With the advent of global warming, you know, all these.
In some cases, it protects. You know, in some cases, it's called forest. In some areas, like we have here in the Durham region, it's called the wetlands or it's called the watershed. But it actually is a protection of the environment. And if we destroy the green belt, we are creating catastrophe for the earth that we live on. Again, as I said before, it's affecting this whole global warming issue. So countries are very much cognitive in protecting their green belts.
And thank you for that. Well, Fred, do you want to go back to some more emails?
Yeah, let me just
Okay.
touch a few emails before we say thank you to our guest. Here's one from Monique. She says, love the show today, Fred and Janet, especially since a lot of elections are coming up in the US. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. Thank you very much.
And the US, they do play some dirty politics, right? We listen in Canada to
politics,
some of those stories, and oh my God.
Politics in general is a stressful event for everyone
country,
involved,
right?
whether you're a politician or you're making a decision to vote. There's a level of stress and anxiety that is created. But
and families, oh my God, families can get so torn apart in terms of who do they support, and you know, husband supports this, wife supports that.
But I'm glad that we have our guest today
who is explaining it so well. Yeah.
And you know, is explaining, he's making us take another look at
why we should be involved.
Municipal politics is conducted and the importance of getting involved.
And folks, getting out there to vote, no matter where you are.
If you're joining us for the first time, or you did so late this evening, our guest is Arthur Augustine. He's a local politician here in Canada, in the city of Ajax, and he is the mayoral candidate for that area. You're listening to the Liquid Green Health Show on Reality Radio 101. And my name is Fred Cox, and my host is Janet Cox. And we have an email from Joyce. And Joyce says, why did the police arrest the
The jokes never stop, but this is a good one.
Why did
Arthur,
the police arrest the
Gary,
turkey?
Mike, we're going to ask you to guess. Why did the police arrest the turkey?
Why did the police arrest the turkey?
The turkey,
yes.
I have no clue.
They were suspected of foul play.
Thank you. We'll be here all week. Check out the veal.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Thanks you for that
Joyce.
one, Joyce. Here's one from Carl, and Carl says, homelessness is one of the biggest issues of any town or city. All of the politicians talk a very good game when running for an election about a lot of issues. But after the election, more and more folks are out on the street, living in parks and their shopping carts, etc. What can actually be done?
Okay, I would like to throw that question to Arthur. Again, Arthur, not about you in particular, but why is it like this is a commonly held view that you have great people that run for politics, and then when they get in, they just sound and seem to look like everybody else. What is it? Because of the rules that they're governed by? Is it because of the I don't know?
Club,
is it
the club they become a member of?
Why do they all look alike once they get in? As the person just said, the problems sometimes become worse.
And the stress level goes up.
If I may say this, maybe a lot of them are what you call yes men or yes women. However, someone who have lived the life that I've lived, who have dealt with people for the past 35 years and hear people complain about the hours of their life. This is one of the reasons why I have pursued politics, because I believe I can change that whole view that you call it, the person who sent that email change, because I would be one of those men. When I get in political power, I would not change my views. My goal is to always help. I've done it for the past 30 years. I've been an activist fighting for human rights in every field. I work in the court system, fighting for rights for every individual. I believe every creed and racial should have an equal pay. So when I become mayor, my views that I have now will never change. It will never change.
All right. And with that, we are going to thank you so much. Frederick, you want to give the thanks to Arthur?
I just want to say thank you very much, Arthur, for taking the opportunity to lending us your time on such a special day like Thanksgiving, to be able to come and explain, not just to us, but to the audience, not just the Canadians, but to in the United States and around the world, exactly what the role of someone in your position who is seeking to be in office on a municipal scale
level.
This has been wonderful. It is not something that we do on our show because this is a health show, but we just thought that it is important to talk about the health issues that can be created if a politician is not on the ball.
Stress you out.
If we allow politicians to, do the things that they're not supposed to do. So I want to thank you, Arthur. It's been wonderful. I wish you all the best in your endeavors. And
okay, we can't give out your information, but people know we live in a time of Google. So people know your name, Arthur Augustine. If they do live in Ajax, and I hope we do have some people here listening, you took the time to come out, that they can Google your name and they will find you. And hopefully because of us, you will get some support. And we're going to throw this out. Yes. We don't know if there's any other politician listening anywhere locally in Canada or the US, and they want to come on the Liquid Green Health Show. We'd be also willing to.
I must admit, thank you. Thank you very much, Fred and Janet, and your Liquid Green Health Show. And again, big shout out to Reality Radio 101. It's my pleasure being on the show, and I enjoy answering your questions. Thank you, and have a very good Easter. Thanksgiving.
Okay.
You're going backwards.
Go and enjoy that turkey.
Yeah, I will. Okay, good luck. Thanks.
Here's an email from James, and James is saying, hi to Fred and Janet. Excellent show today. There are 4 people here in my home visiting for Thanksgiving and never heard of your show before. They are now new fans of yours. Here is what we are eating. Ooh. And I don't even want to look at that picture. You are tempting us, right? Wow, what a pie. Very
the pumpkin
nice.
pie. Now, we're just going to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving in general.
Yes.
And do you know that in Canada, it was on January 31st, 1957, that the Governor General of Canada, who at the time was Vincent Massey, and he issued a proclamation stating, a day of general thanksgiving to Almighty God for the bountiful harvest with which Canada has been blessed, to be observed on the second Monday in October.
So why didn't he thank the farmers? Because the farmers is bringing you the food.
Right. Well, I guess Thanksgiving, we have, as people, we have so much to be thankful for.
We have a lot to be thankful
Frederick,
for.
what are you thankful for on this Thanksgiving?
I am thankful for 2 main things in particular. I'm thankful for the fact that I am relatively healthy, and the fact that, can somebody mute their phones?
Arthur, microphone? Your mic.
Yeah. I'm also thankful for the fact that my faculties are still together. Right. Those are the 2 main things, health and I can still do a lot of things that many people my age are not capable of doing.
And do you know that not every province in Canada celebrates? Like it's a statutory holiday where people who are off will get paid. But in the eastern provinces,
like Labrador, Newfoundland, they don't celebrate.
They get it, but it's not a statutory
holiday.
Oh,
I wasn't aware of that.
Yep. And it also, I mean, I love to, always check the research.
But before you go there,
okay.
I think I touched on this earlier. The main difference between Canada and the United States in celebrating Thanksgiving. As we know, United States Thanksgiving is next month.
In November.
We are celebrating ours before, and that is because we are further north, right? And our harvest season begins much earlier than those in the United States. And also because Thanksgiving is such a food-centric day here in Canada.
I love that name, food-centric.
It's a holiday,
yeah,
right? In some areas, as you mentioned, and it makes sense because the harvest is earlier. It makes sense to celebrate while the produce is still fresh and is still easily available. I went into the supermarket yesterday, and I was pleasantly surprised at the amount of fresh food, produce that I saw. And,
but there's a story, and it's actually quite funny. Just this weekend, CFIA announced, the Canadian Food Inspection Agency. They announced on their website that it says that because of the avian flu in some provinces in Canada, as well as in some states in the US, they were restricting the import of fresh, raw, or unprocessed poultry products and byproducts from the US, right?
Because of the outbreak.
Because of the outbreak. And that was places like Maine, New York, Pennsylvania, Michigan,
okay,
etc., North Dakota, Idaho, and Washington. And they were even saying if you're crossing the border, you cannot bring food. If you were eating food in a restaurant and you had it packaged, you would not be allowed to bring it into Canada.
Oh, such
right?
draconian nonsense.
Some people are saying, oh yeah, just in time for Thanksgiving. That means they can raise the price of turkeys here in Canada, right? Okay, I think you had another email that you didn't get to.
Yeah, but I just want to get back to, is it, okay, let me just read this before I get to my thought. Here's one from Dave. It says, hi, Liquid Green, very informative show today. Thank you. Happy Thanksgiving to all of you. That joke was lame. Too bad about the Jays. Oh man, I just want to cry every time you mention the Jays. I hope that folks who wash their veggies today for their Thanksgiving meal use Liquid Green Veggie Cleaner. Thank you for that plug.
He says, that's my plug. I'm done. Thanks. But you know what? Who was this from? This is from Dave. Dave, we need to contact Dave because we need to have you on our marketing team. All right. We need some of these suggestions, right? You never miss an opportunity to mention the products.
There's another one from Amy. Hi to Janet and Fred. What a very nice and honest man. That is the type of politician that we need, and I will support him. Thank you.
So
and
that
I hope
means
you live in Ajax.
Yeah, because you can only support if you live in Ajax, right? I tell your friends. I'm sure Arthur will appreciate it.
That is such a nice email. And thank you for that. And here's one from Hank, and Hank says, Fred, so glad that you can still do things that a younger man can do. Good for you. Keep up the good sex. Yes.
Hank, what does this have to do with Thanksgiving? Should he be given thanks that he can still, whatever?
Thank you.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
It's funny.
Going back to Thanksgiving, it is nice, and it doesn't matter what country you're from or where you're currently living, but it's nice to be able to take a day off to give thanks. And it shouldn't be just one day. We should get into the practice of giving thanks
every day.
If you're a religious person, if you are, a spiritual person or whatever, if you have a specific deity that you like to give thanks to, the fact that you're cognizant of the good things that are happening in your life and you give thanks for it on a regular basis, it should be rather than just one day.
As a matter of fact, Frederick, I know, I have stopped doing it for a few months now, but you know what, starting tomorrow, or let's not say tomorrow, starting late tonight, I'm going to go back to it. I actually have a gratitude list and it has hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of one-line things.
And it is so
good. Every day I would just write, I am thankful for, I am grateful for, whatever.
And it is so good to be able to do that because what you're doing, you're telling your subconscious mind and you're also putting into the universe the things that you are appreciative of and the things that you would like to see continue in your life.
Here's
so important.
There was a list that I pulled up and these were some things that people are thankful for on Thanksgiving. And one of them was thankful for teachers who don't give homework on Thanksgiving. Right?
A good meal, a comfy couch or a chair.
And the best one was, I am thankful that I am not the turkey.
You don't want to come back if you're someone that believes in reincarnation and you think that you could be reincarnated into an animal or something. You certainly don't want to come back as a turkey and be living in Canada or the United States. All right.
Okay.
And
so with that, I'm done.
Yeah, this is bringing us to the end of our show. We've had a wonderful afternoon with our guest. And we've had a wonderful time with the emails that came in. And I just want to touch on, there's something we said we were going to be talking about. Oh, and that's the OTCI, just briefly.
For tenants.
Yeah.
Helping to address the situation with
this is an organization that will be doing or can, as a matter of fact, do a lot of things to address one of the situations that is so prevalent in our communities, and that is homelessness. Because municipalities are struggling. They're struggling at finding ways in how to combat this grave situation that is called homelessness. And as Arthur explained, there are a number of reasons why people go homeless, right? But it's unemployment, addiction to drugs, or they may have family situations.
Thrown out.
Right. And so with the OTCI, the whole idea is to create, it is a cooperative, it is an organization that is working with individuals, whether you're a tenant or, you just want to get involved, to help to build real estate equity as a cooperative.
Yes.
Right. It is a member-driven, fair profit business. And the plan is to provide member services and develop real estate for the underserved, such as the rental market for pensioners, rent-to-own situations, group homes, and of
very
course,
low-cost housing.
Very low-cost housing.
Yeah.
If you would like to become involved in this cooperative, it's very simple. Go to the website, otci.ca, and there is a membership that you can download. Click on that, and all the information that you'd like to know about OTCI, Ontario Tenant Corporation, Cooperative Inc., is there.
And
it's only open to Ontario residents,
only,
right?
yes.
I want to make that clear.
And Frederick, for the third week now, I so want to tell people something that we have coming up really big. And I know I don't have your permission to discuss it yet, but I'm throwing it out there. You're going to have to stay tuned, because within the next several weeks, we're going to be making an announcement that I think is going to be awesome, and that a lot of people will be affected in a very positive way. And before we leave, we have 2 minutes. I just want to give a shout out to our own family. We have 30 people at Kira's home. Because
we're going back there.
There with a blended family. So there are 2 families. We've talked about that. Kira has to come back. People are asking, when is she coming back to do finish up the real estate show that she missed? But oh my gosh, you should have seen the food. The curry goat, the soup, the
cook-up rice,
from Guyana,
the fried plantains, the cake.
Too much.
And we had to leave that to come to the show.
But now I'm hungry again. I ate before, and we're going to go back, and we're going to eat again.
We're going back. It's just east of where we are, folks. I don't want to tempt you with all these lovely things that we're going back to, but there's everything there. And so, wherever you are in Canada specifically, we want to wish you such a wonderful, wonderful Thanksgiving. We hope that you enjoy yourselves, eat as much as you can. I know after today, there are going to be a lot of swell bellies, right? And you're going to be trying to lose weight. But if you've missed any of our shows, you can listen or watch them on the following platforms: Spotify, YouTube. Just type in Liquid Green Health Show. On Facebook, it's Liquid Green Products Inc. And don't forget to visit us at the Liquid Green Health Show.
Where's the stuff?
Right. And, you can put in the code RR101 to get a huge discount. And at the end of the show, folks, we're now at the end of our show, and I would just like to leave you with this quote: good health is central to human happiness and well-being. It contributes significantly to prosperity and wealth, and even economic progress. As healthy individuals, we are more productive and even live longer. So until next Sunday, same time, same place. This is Janet and Fred of the Liquid Green Health Show on Reality Radio 101 saying, let's stay healthy.
And thank you to our producers. Hope you'll have a wonderful Thanksgiving as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you for listening to the Liquid Green Health Show with your hosts, Fred and Janet Cox, right here on Reality Radio 101.